Slope, a very important concept in math that comes up over and over and over again. And slope is a rate of change. So we have this rate of change, and a way we usually denote slope is with the variable m. So m is equal to slope, which is also equal to the rise of a graph over the run of a graph. Or another way to say this is the difference in y over the difference in x. Lastly, the way we find this algebraically would be to say y2 minus y1 and x2 minus x1. So if I want to find the slope between 2 points, for example, say that I was given the points 1, 4 and -2, 3. To find the slope in between, we say, well, m equals our difference in y's. So we just have to decide which point's number 2 and which point's number 1. It actually doesn't matter which one you pick, as long as once you pick it to be number 2, it becomes your point 2 in both spots. A lot of times a misconcept happens when people intermingle these throughout this. You have to keep the same point as the second point and the same point as the first point once you've picked it to be that. So I'm going to say this is point 2, this is point 1, and I'll show you that it doesn't matter which one you pick first and second, we'll get the same answer. So this being point 2, my y2 goes on top, my x2 goes on bottom, minus in both cases. Point 1, well, my y1 is 4 and my x1 is 1. So here's this point and here's this point. 3 minus 4 gives me a -1 and -2 minus 1 gives me a -3 for a slope of positive 1/3. So showing it the other way, let's say I had picked this to be point 2 and the other one to be point 1. So this is point 2 in this case, and this is point 1. Well, m equals, putting point 2 in first, our y just go on top, so 4, our x goes on bottom, 1. Minus in both cases, our first point of 3 the y, -2 the x. Well, 4 minus 3 is 1. 1 minus a negative is plus a positive, so 1 plus 2 gives me 3. And notice this slope matches this slope of 1/3. Graphically, what this would look like, so if we were to graph these 2 points, we would have our first point being 1, 4. We come over 1, up 4, put that point in. Our second point being -2, 3, so back 2, up 3. So what this means on a graph is that to go from this point to this point, from left to right, I go up 1, because the rise, because this is my rise, over my run. So up 1 over 3, up 1 over 3. And they'd produce a line in between the two. Let's do one more example. So, for example, so we're going to leave that equation in the corner. We have the points 2, -1 and -5, -3. So, doing our m equals, let's pick point 2, point 1. So, y2, x2, y2, x2, y, x, minus in both cases. y1, x1, y1, x1, y1, x1. So our slope is -3 plus 1, or -2, over negative 5. Negative 2 makes negative 7. So our slope would be positive 2/7. So once again on a graph, what this looks like is we have our first point at 2, negative 1, so over 2, down 1, and our second point at negative 5, negative 3, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down 3. We have our second point. We'd have this line between the two, but what this slope means, rise over run, so up 2 over 7, up 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. So to go from this point on the left to this point on the right, we'd go up 2 over 7.